In a small, windswept village nestled at the foot of a mountain, there lived a weaver named Samuel. His home was humble, his workshop modest, and his life a testament to tireless effort. Day after day, Samuel sat at his loom, weaving fabric to sell at the market. But Samuel's life had become a bitter cycle. Though his hands worked ceaselessly, his earnings barely fed him, let alone allowed him to repair his aging home or buy the fine threads he longed to weave. His bitterness grew as the seasons changed, each colder and harsher than the last. One evening, after another day of meager sales and aching hands, Samuel slumped at his table. The fire in his hearth was small, its warmth feeble, much like the flicker of hope in his heart. He clenched his fists and looked up at the ceiling. "Why, Lord?" he whispered. "Why do you let me work so hard and yet leave me with so little? Have I not prayed? Have I not been faithful?" He fell asleep with these angry questions swirling in his mind, his heart heavy with doubt. That night, Samuel dreamed. He found himself standing in a field of endless gold, the sunlight warm and soft on his skin. Before him stood a figure, cloaked in white, whose face shone like the dawn. "Samuel," the figure said, his voice both gentle and commanding. "Why do you despair?" Samuel fell to his knees, trembling. "Because I labor without reward. My hands are weary, my heart is heavy. And still you remain silent." The figure knelt and placed a hand on Samuel's shoulder. "I have not been silent, you simply have not listened. Tomorrow go to your workshop and find the golden thread." Samuel woke with a start, the dream vivid and alive in his mind. The golden thread. He shook his head. It was nonsense, surely. But as the morning light poured through his window, the words lingered in his heart. He went to his workshop, as he always did, and sat at his loom. The familiar rhythm of weaving soothed his mind, though he found himself glancing around, searching for something. By midday he felt foolish for entertaining the dream, but as he reached for a spool of thread on a high shelf, his hand brushed against something unfamiliar. He pulled it down and gasped. It was a spool unlike any he had ever seen, the thread gleaming with a golden light. His heart raced as he held it, the dream rushing back to him. Could this be? He murmured. He hesitated, unsure what to do. Then, with trembling hands, he began to weave. As the shuttle passed back and forth, the golden thread wove itself into a tapestry that Samuel could scarcely believe. Patterns and images seemed to emerge of their own accord. A vast, radiant sun, a field of flowers, and a winding path leading to a distant hill. Each thread seemed alive, glowing with a light that filled the room and spilled out into the street. By evening, the tapestry was complete. Samuel sat back, exhausted but awestruck. It was the most beautiful thing he'd ever created. But what could he do with it? Who would buy such a thing? Just then a knock came at his door. On his doorstep stood a stranger, cloaked in fine robes and carrying a staff adorned with a golden cross. The man's eyes fell upon the tapestry, and he froze. "Who made this?" the stranger asked, his voice filled with wonder. Samuel swallowed hard. I did," the stranger stepped inside, his gaze never leaving the tapestry. "This is not the work of mortal hands alone. Where did you get such a thread?" Samuel hesitated, then told the man about the dream, the golden thread, and the tapestry. The stranger nodded, his expression thoughtful. "I am a steward of the great cathedral in the city. We have prayed for a sign to adorn our altar, something that reflects the glory of God. I believe this tapestry is that sign." Samuel's eyes widened. "You mean you wish to buy it?" "Yes," the steward said, "but its value can't be measured in coin alone. Come with me to the city. This work must be shared." Samuel packed the tapestry and travelled with the steward to the grand cathedral. When they arrived, the tapestry was unfurled before the priests and worshippers. Gasps and whispers filled the air as the golden light seemed to dance across the stone walls. The head priest approached Samuel, his face solemn. "This is a gift from God," he said, "and you, Samuel, are his chosen vessel." Samuel's knees buckled and he knelt before the altar. "I am no one," he whispered, "just a weaver." The priest placed a hand on his shoulder. "A weaver, yes, but also a servant of his will. Through your patience and faith you were given this thread, and now through your hands his glory is revealed." Word of the tapestry spread, and soon people came from far and wide to see it. Samuel was offered work by merchants and nobles who marveled at his skill. His once empty workshop became a place of abundance, and his heart, once filled with doubt, overflowed with gratitude. But Samuel never forgot the lesson of the golden thread. He continued to weave, not for wealth or recognition, but for the joy of creating something beautiful for the glory of God. And though he searched, he never found another spool of golden thread. But he didn't need to, for Samuel had learned that it was not the thread that made the tapestry special. It was the patience, faith, and humility he had found in the process. Years later, when Samuel was an old man, a young apprentice asked him about the tapestry that now hung in the great cathedral. "Is it true, master, that you wove it from a golden thread sent by God?" Samuel smiled and placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "The thread was a gift, yes, but the greatest gift was the lesson it taught me, that our work, when done with faith, becomes an offering. And in his time, God blesses it beyond what we could ever imagine." Samuel's story became a legend, told in the village and beyond as a reminder of patience, providence, and the beauty of trusting in God's plan.